They've made a few requests, though.
Such as?
Uh, None of them want to pay taxes again. Ever.
What's up, guys? Your boy Benny. There are very few policies that everyone can agree on. There are some policies that the vast majority of Americans agree on, like closing the border. Numbers show that that's something that virtually all Americans want, all right? You have to be suicidal to want to live in a country with open borders. Strong economy, strong dollar, spending money in America first. These are winning issues. This is why Trump is winning. However, there's one other thing that, sure, there's some people that want to actually be taxed more. There are some people that like dominatrix stuff, right? Like they like being violated. But most Americans, I call it 90-10 issues, right? I mean, there's 10% mentally ill people. Most Americans want less taxes. Now, like half of Americans don't actually pay taxes, the way it works out in the tax system. But everyone pays taxes if you go to McDonald's or buy a stick of gum. Buy a tank of gasoline, you're paying a lot of tax on that. Just living your life, you pay taxes. Taxes in America are excruciatingly high. And the worst taxes, of course, are income taxes. As you can see here, the top income tax rate is 37%. And listen, guys, like that's effectively 40% of your income. If you live in, most states have an income tax on top of that, right? States like Florida, you don't have an income tax, but most states have an income tax. So you're talking 50% of people's back-breaking, neck-snapping, blood, sweat, and tears taken by the government. 50%. 50%. And there are so many other taxes, right? The federal income tax should be totally and completely illegal. The history of federal income taxes in America, of course, would be abhorrent to our founders who decided to fight a bloody revolution against the strongest army in the world over a 2% T-tax. Now, 50% of our incomes get taxed, right? Yeah, depending on the state. Check this out. In 1894, Democrats in Congress passed the first peacetime income tax. So it was like 120 years ago, roundly, 130 years ago. 130 years ago, there was the first peacetime income tax. Now, during wars and stuff like that, there are taxes, there are higher taxes, but those go away after the war's paid for. Ha ha ha. Right? Oh, that's some old-timey moves right there. The rate was 2% on income over $4,000, which meant fewer than 10% of households would pay any tax at all. Of course, this graduated into the progressive era, where taxes were sold to the American people as only taxes on the rich. Ooh, yeah, that's right. Do you feel, no matter what income bracket you're on, do you feel like only the rich are taxed? Yeah. This is how it's always sold, right? It's how it's currently being sold. It's garbage. It's glut from our federal government. And if you saw up close like I did in Washington, D.C., how your tax dollars get spent, you would be disgusted with the way that the waste and squandering of our treasure happens in this country. This is why this is a 90-10 issue, because nobody thinks that the money in this country is being spent wisely. It's either getting shipped over to Ukraine or Israel, or it's, certainly not being used to fill potholes on your street, right? Certainly not going towards you, the American taxpayer, until now. Check this out. New York Times. Trump flirts with ultimate tax cut, no income taxes at all. Now, a reminder, this isn't insane. Like 100 years ago, there was no income taxes at all. The first actual income tax, period, in peacetime, all right, not just to pay for a war, but in peacetime, because there were taxes during the War of 1812 and during the Civil War. The first peacetime tax was about 100 years ago, and it only affected less than 10% of American households. So actually, you could argue that there's more of America that existed without an income tax than with an income tax. Well, why don't you frame it up that way, right? For most of the American experience, Americans did not have an income tax. So to actually be a return to tradition, and certainly a return to constitutional tradition. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is a wonderful, wonderful campaign. I mean, we want to talk about winning 50 states? Do this. Former president has repeatedly praised a period in American history where there was no income tax, meaning the majority of American history, and the country relied on tariffs to fund the government. Here we go. Former President Donald J. Trump has spent much of his presidential campaign brainstorming new and sometimes untested ways to cut taxes. In the election's final stretch, he raised the possibility of going even further, eliminating income taxes entirely. During a Fox News segment on Monday, Mr. Trump took questions at a barbershop in the Bronx. When asked if the United States could potentially end all federal taxation, Mr. Trump said that the country could return to the economic policies of the late 19th century, where there was no federal income tax. It had all tariffs. It didn't have an income tax, Trump said. Now we have an income taxes, and we have people that are dying. They're paying tax. They don't have any money to pay the tax. He's completely correct on this. In June, Mr. Trump floated the idea of replacing federal revenue with income taxes with money received from tariffs. Mr. Trump has not only not provided specific details on how that would work, it's unclear if he wants to eliminate federal taxes, including corporate income taxes and payroll taxes, or the end of the individual income tax. Win 50 states, end the individual income tax. Win 50 states, end the individual income tax. Either way, both liberal and conservative experts have dismissed the idea as mathematically impossible, economically destructive. Really. Giving a bunch of Americans a bunch of money is going to be economically destructive. Okay. Oh, yeah. It's going to be much smarter for Department of Human Services and for the Department of Urban Development and the Department of Energy to spend your money. Yeah, God. It's much smarter for the Pentagon to spend your money. Idiots. Even if Republicans control Congress, lawmakers ultimately are ultimately unlikely to dismantle the income tax system. Yet Mr. Trump's combination of tax cuts and tariffs increases could be a central political pitch. There's a way, if what I'm planning comes out, Mr. Trump said, of ending the income taxes. So Trump's planning on a new policy. Replacing income taxes with tariffs would reverse the progressivity of the U.S. tax system. In general, income taxes are progressive, meaning that Americans with more income pay high tax rate. Tariffs, which impose a tax on products imported to the United States, are regressive. They raise prices on imported items like clothing and groceries, placing a larger burden on lower income Americans who spend a bigger percentage of their incomes on those goods. What are you talking about? You're stupid. And you could just make food in America. You know, there's lots of land, lots of farmland in this country. They are raising prices on imported items. Why does clothing and groceries need to be imported, New York Times? Hey, New York Times, why don't you answer the question? Why does groceries need to be imported? Why can't we make clothing here? Actually, the stuff that's like most stuff that's imported is actually like technology, like high-end tech, higher-end products, more expensive products. And so the people buying those more expensive products pay a higher rate because of the tariff. Do you see how that works? Maybe you could reshore some manufacturing here. It'd be genius, actually. Mr. Trump has denied that Americans pay the cost of tariffs. He argues that companies overseas bear the cost of tariffs on products that they ship to the United States. Economists largely debunk this argument. Blah, blah, blah. Why does the United States have an income tax? The United States put income tax in place to achieve two main goals: raising taxes on the rich and paying for a larger federal government. Well, there you go. Perfect. Like, most people that I know, if you are not like a horrible person, you see a rich person, and you're like, good for, like somebody who actually earned it, went and built something, provided a service. You're like, good for them. Way to go. You're not like, I should have everything they have. You're like a dirty Marxist if you believe that. It's actually totally immoral. It's unchristian, in fact, to believe that. Paying for a larger federal government. Why do we need that? Nobody wants a larger federal government. Nobody wants the larger federal government. So it's always been a lie that taxes were just for the rich. This has always been a lie. This has always been a lie. Tariffs. Mr. Trump does not formally propose ending the income tax system in the United States. Instead, he's offered a tax cut after tax cut on the campaign trail, arguing that he could cover the cost dramatically, raising tariffs on imports. Several of Mr. Trump's ideas about the blanket tax exemptions for certain types of incomes, like tips and overtime pay and Social Security benefits. During a podcast interview last month, Mr. Trump said that he would consider allowing police officers, firefighters, and military service members to forego paying taxes. This is a great step into the direction of where we should be, which is not having parents pay taxes. You are contributing so much to the country by having children. Having children is an enormously tough job. It is hard, it is expensive, and you should live tax-free as a parent. You want an American boom in this country? Say families with mothers and fathers in the household that are raising the children pay no taxes. You want a family boom in this country? You want to fix blight and decay all around the country? Incentivize parenthood and fathers who show up for their kids. Why is this hard? It's great. It's great. I love it. I got to tell you, it's, so what you're seeing right now is some pretty amazing numbers for President Trump. If you want this map to look 100% red on election day, just say you're going to get rid of the income tax. You want California to go red? Say you're going to get rid of the income tax. Maybe 2028. Hey, or maybe sooner. I'm not sure. I just know this. With these ideas, we're going to win. We're going to make a new great American century that fights for everyone. Because quite frankly, shared taxes hurt everyone. Some people more than others. We want to talk about really, really harming people. Look at the taxes. That's how people can't get ahead. That's what makes people think they can't get ahead. Because the government scoops in and steals what's yours. No, not here. Not here. We're going to fix it. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. We're gonna win.